Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Mount & Blade Bannerlord, specifically the Realm of Thrones mod. The mod that converts the entire game into the world from A Song of Ice and Fire, mostly inspired by the aesthetics of the HBO series' Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. So, what I'm doing in this current series is going through on the most recent update of the mod, at least at the time of making this video, and exploring all of the armor in this mod. And I'm doing it faction by faction. I started with the Vale, moved on to the Stormlands, and now we're going to be focusing on the little island nation of the Iron Islands, which is comprised of just this region here. We have Lonely Light over here, and then the cluster of the actual Iron Islands themselves. And so this is a smaller faction. It doesn't have a ton of variety. In the show, we only see a little bit of them here and there. You know, they don't have a ton of screen time. So all of the armor that we're going to see in this video is based off of that screen time. That being said, I think it all looks decent. There's a couple items that I think look a little goofy, but a lot of that just comes down to how they looked in the show, but I think quality-wise, this is relatively well done. So the way that I do these videos is I go through the troops first with a real surface-level overview, showing you kind of what the armor sets look like just on the troops that you'll see in the game, and sometimes they will be using items from other factions, and then we'll go to the section where I explore the full suits of armor that are available in this game, using only items that belong in the Iron Islands. So we'll just start off with the troops, so you can kind of get a feel for what they look like as the mod authors designed them. And so there are two troop trees, the Greyjoy one and the Ironborn one. We'll start with the Ironborn, and you'll see that at least until you get about halfway down, they're really, really basic. So we're just going to power through them. So we start off with the Ironborn Peasant, which doesn't have any unique assets. These are all vanilla. We move up to the Ironborn Deckhand, which again appears to be just vanilla assets. Then we have two options. We'll go down the infantry first. We'll start with the Ironborn Sailor. Once again, leather coif, reinforced thick tunic, padded vambraces, folded leather boots. All vanilla assets make up that troop. Then we have the Ironborn Pirate, which is where we start seeing a couple unique assets for the mod that aren't just all vanilla. So we have the Nasal Helm over Mail, that's vanilla. The Ironborn Armor is obviously unique. Then the Leather Gloves and Ironborn Boots. So Ironborn Boots and Ironborn Armor here are unique in-mod assets. Starting to look a little bit more okay, but again, still feels, you know, kind of halfway. And I don't like, full disclosure, as I've said in previous videos, and I'll say here, I don't like seeing vanilla assets in conversion mods. I understand that the game is very large and these projects they take a long time, so I'm not complaining about it, but it's always a flaw in my eyes. When you're playing a total conversion mod, you should never see any vanilla assets if the mod is complete. So that should always be your end goal. Working out as many of those vanilla assets as possible, because they never look right. They never match up right with the stuff that you've added into the mod. So that's why I always count that against it. When I see vanilla assets, that's always a mark against the quality of what I'm looking at, because it pulls you out of the immersion that we're going for with a conversion mod. So anyway, moving on from there, we have the Ironborn Spearman, which we have the Ironborn Helmet, Ironborn Armor, Northern Gloves, and Ironborn Boots. So this is the first full one of all unique in-mod assets, no vanilla stuff, well, at least as far as the armor is concerned. Only flaw here is that we have, instead of all being Ironborn, we have Northern Gloves, so we don't have Ironborn Gloves. But that is our Ironborn Spearman. Then we have the Ironborn Heavy Spearman, which is basically the same, but it adds in the Ironborn Pauldron, so we get these little pieces of shoulder armor. Then we have the Ironborn Axe Master, which is the same as the other one that we just looked at, except instead of being equipped with a spear, this one is an axeman. Then over on the other side of our troop tree here, we have the Ironborn Shipwrecker, which is a two-handed axeman. This one has the Ironborn Helmet, Ironborn Pauldrons, Ironborn Armor, Northern Gloves, and Ironborn Boots. So once again, all unique stuff. And then the top tier for that is the Buccaneer, which is basically the same thing, just better stats. So honestly, pretty good looking armor. Let's go down the Archer / Cavalry troop tree, which is the other side. There we have the Ironborn Rover, which is equipped with fish harpoons, so throwing weapons, and is made up of all vanilla assets. So once again, boo, vanilla assets. Then just moving down our Cavalry troop tree. First, we'll start with the Brigand, which is once again a skirmisher type. We have two sets of fish harpoons, and the Nasal Helm over Mail, so that's a vanilla asset, doesn't look great. Then we have the Ironborn and Northern stuff again. So even though the helmet doesn't match it perfectly as far as Ironborn assets go, still looks pretty good altogether. Then we have the Scout, Helmet, which is basically the same thing that we've looked at across the board. We have the light Ironborn type armor, just no pauldrons on it. Then we have the Horseman, which once again, it's basically the same thing but better stats, still no pauldrons. Then we have our archers. So the Hunter just has the Dragonstone Gambeson, the Rough-Tide Boots, and the Leather Coif, so only one of those is unique to the mod. Then we have the upgraded Archer. Once again, we have that nasal helm instead of the Ironborn helmet. And then finally, we get the Ironborn Veteran Bowman, which has the Ironborn helmet, Ironborn armor, Northern gloves, and Ironborn boots. So all unique to the mod, only issue being a little bit of Northern in there, but other than that, looks pretty good. So on the whole, I would say that the Ironborn standard troop tree is decent. I don't get bothered by it too much once you get past these first couple tiers. Once you get down to here, then I start being bothered less by it. It looks right, it matches, it is immersive enough for the mod. But that's one of the troop trees for the Iron Islands. The other one is for House Greyjoy, which is the ruling house of the Iron Islands. And it's very similar, so we're not going to go super in depth with this one. We're just going to kind of go through, I'll show you each troop. So there's our House Greyjoy Footman. Upgrade from there is the House Greyjoy Soldier, and we can actually see the Greyjoy shield there. Then we have the Greyjoy Deckman, the Greyjoy Finger Dancer, the Greyjoy Archer, Greyjoy Marksman, and Greyjoy Sniper, which is actually one of the better archer units in the game. Then we have the Greyjoy Rider and the Greyjoy Horseman. So that is the full Greyjoy troop tree. I should have said there are actually 3 for this faction. I almost forgot. But as you can see, pretty much the same as the Ironborn stuff. The only exception being sometimes we're seeing that unique Greyjoy shield in here. But other than that, we're working with pretty much the same armor across the board. The only difference is you'll see on the Greyjoy troops, they have the Kraken carved into the leather on their cuirass, and on the regular Ironborn, they don't. It's just leather there. Then we have the noble Ironborn troop tree, which starts out with the Ironborn Salt Recruit, which is all vanilla assets. Then the Ironborn Pillager, which looks like a lot of the Ironborn stuff we've already looked at. Then we get the Ironborn Ravager, which is the first place we start seeing the Ironborn Heavy Armor, which is, in my opinion, it doesn't look as good as the regular Ironborn stuff in the mod does, but it obviously is heavier armor. Then we have the Ironborn Reaver, made up of the Ironborn Heavy Helmet, Ironborn Heavy Shoulders, Ironborn Leather Armor, Ironborn Gauntlets, and Ironborn Plate Boots. And then finally, the top tier one is the Ironborn Kraken, which is made up of the Ironborn Heavy Helmet, Ironborn Heavy Shoulders, Ironborn Heavy Armor, Ironborn Gauntlets, and Ironborn Plate Boots. So, pretty cool, I guess. It looks unique at least, so I like that there's a little bit of variety added in with this troop tree, but I would say quality-wise and just aesthetic appearance-wise, I would say that the regular Ironborn and Greyjoy stuff looks better than the noble troop tree. But that's all the troops for the Ironborn or the Iron Islands faction. So now let's just go through some of the full suits of armor that we can make up with the items that belong to this faction. Again, sometimes that's going to mean I have to sub in something like a pair of boots or gloves or something like that that doesn't directly belong with the outfit I'm showing you, but it does belong to the Iron Islands. So let's just go through those. All right, starting off with our basic Ironborn Soldier. This could be an archer, infantry, doesn't matter because the armor for the Ironborn is kind of medium at heaviest. So this could be applicable for an archer, for an infantry unit, or for light cavalry. But this one's made up of the Ironborn Helmet, Ironborn Pauldrons, Ironborn Armor, Ironborn Gauntlets, and Ironborn Boots. So if you want a full suit of armor, you are stuck with this, essentially. So you're going to see, as we go through the other suits that I'm going to show you, you're going to notice that, like, for instance, we only have one set of gauntlets for the entire faction. So if you want gloves, those are the ones you're using for the Ironborn faction. So that's annoying, but it is what it is. Overall, I would say pretty good looking. The quality looks good. There's no clipping or no major amounts of clipping. All the colors look good. The textures all look well done. I always get a kick out of this helmet that they invented for the show. I always thought it looked stupid. I get it from what they were probably going for was the fact that we have a seafaring nation in a time of plate armor. So you don't want to be wearing a traditional heavy suit of plate armor when you're on a boat, because if you fell into the ocean, you're straight up dead. You're just going to sink down to the bottom and die. So they kind of came up with this sort of hybrid suit. Now, mind you, this is still probably too much weight. If you were to fall into the ocean off a boat, this would still drag you down. But it is lighter. So I get what they're going for aesthetically, but this would still be more than enough weight to pull down even a very strong swimmer to their death. But overall appearance-wise, I think it looks pretty good. So that's the Ironborn infantry armor, I suppose. Next, we have the Ironborn leather armor, which is just another variant of infantry armor. It's ironic because it's called leather armor, but it looks heavier than the stuff we've already looked at. This one, we don't have shoulders for, just because we don't. You could put the heavy shoulders on here, and that's kind of like a gorget, but it would clash with the stuff that is already built into the torso armor, so that's why I didn't. But this suit is made up of the Ironborn helmet, the Ironborn leather armor, the Ironborn gauntlets, and the iron boots. So that's the full suit here. Again, I don't think it looks as good as just the regular Ironborn armor, so if it's me personally, I'm not going to choose this. But if you're looking for variety, this obviously stands out a little bit more from the common troop tree. So that is the Ironborn leather armor. Next, we have the Greyjoy infantry armor. So you'll notice this is very similar to the Ironborn one, so we're not going to spend a ton of time on it. Basically, the only difference is the fact that we have the Greyjoy armor for our torso instead of the Ironborn. Other than that, it's identical. Ironborn helmet, Ironborn pauldrons, Greyjoy armor, Ironborn gauntlets, and Ironborn boots. So once again, a suit of medium infantry armor. So that's the Greyjoy armor. Next up, we have the Ironborn heavy armor. So this one is probably my least favorite looking suit that they have in this faction. But if you're looking for heavy plate armor in the Ironborn faction, this is as heavy as it comes. So this one's made up of the Ironborn heavy helmet, the Ironborn heavy shoulders, the Ironborn heavy armor, Ironborn gauntlets, and the Ironborn plate boots. So it's clearly a full suit of comprehensive plate armor, and aesthetically it does look pretty cool. I think the shoulders look worse than everything else. I think that the helmet is interesting because it's like a Armet style helmet, but instead of having a visor or open face, it's got this, well, it does have a visor, but not a folding visor. It's just got like a sun visor on it with two loops, which just looks really weird to me. It looks like something that's supposed to fold down, but it clearly does. But in any case, it looks well enough. I like the big, thick gambeson that you can see underneath the cuirass. I'm not sure what this under the gambeson is supposed to be, because from appearances, it looks like you have your cuirass, your gambeson, a layer of mail, and then for some reason, another layer of metal, and then another layer of mail, and another gambeson, which would make this suit of armor really, really strong, but ridiculously cumbersome and heavy to wear, not to mention way too warm. So I'm assuming that's just a weird texture thing that they've chosen, but whatever the case is, it's unique. Then we don't have any arm covering between the shoulders and the gauntlets, but we do have some big armored gauntlets, including elbow guards, and then fully armored legs, which is unique for the Ironborn faction. None of the other armor that you're going to see in this faction has this much armor on your legs. So that is the Ironborn heavy armor. Next, we have probably the most unique looking one in the faction, and it is the Kraken armor. So this is probably what you would wear if you were trying to play a roleplay playthrough, as someone from the Iron Islands leading them, or just a lord in their service, because this one is definitely their most over-the-top piece of, or suit of armor. This one's made up of the Kraken helmet, the Kraken pauldrons, the Kraken armor, the Ironborn gauntlets, and the Ironborn boots. And you could use the plate boots if you want, but I thought the Ironborn boots made more sense with the suit and looked better with it. So this one, like I said, it's very unique. It's got obviously a Kraken element to it all over the place. So you can see we've got the Kraken sigil right there on the cuirass. We've got little clasps for our pauldrons that look like maybe they could have Krakens on it. And of course, the helmet itself is shaped like a Kraken, or at least it has the face of a Kraken on it with the tentacles coming off to the side. I like the suit. I think it looks very good. I think it would look better if we had matching leg armor and arm armor that was designed to go specifically with it. But I think that the overall shape and modeling of it was done really, really well. It's all very rounded and sloping, which would be great in battle because this would deflect blows really well. Obviously, you would want something on your neck, whether that was a mail coif or a gorget that went up on the neck or something. This would provide lots of flexibility and movement, and you'd be able to move your head around freely, but also if a sword blow glanced off your shoulders, it would just take your head off or slice your throat open or something. So defense-wise, not the best design there, but it definitely looks pretty dang cool. And if you're going for a crazy person screaming on the mast of a ship while you're crashing towards another person, intimidation is probably, 8/10 of what you're going for. I know that that's a needlessly large fraction. We could have just said 2/5. We could have just said 4/5, but what's the fun in that? So that is our final piece or suit of armor for the Iron Islands region in this mod. So that is where we're going to leave it for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the Iron Islands. I think that the amount and variety of armor for this faction in the mod is probably acceptable. The only thing I would change is filling it out, so making sure that we've got appropriate Ironborn gloves and boots and shoulder pieces that match each suit of armor. Other than that, considering it's not a very large or powerful or even very significant faction in the story, it makes sense that we only have a couple well-defined suits of armor for the faction. But with that being said, like I said, they do look pretty good. So that's the Iron Islands. That's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be continuing through all the other factions, or at least all the other ones that have a pretty well-developed variety of armor that aren't just a bunch of vanilla assets. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.